29. Garry, man, I'll tell you what. This one's got to hurt for Eagle fans because I thought they had this thing in the first half.
That's right.
In the second half, that was what you and I used to call somebody taking somebody to the woodshed and showing what coaching is, and dominating is. Let me hear your takeaways from Super Bowl 57.
Well, I'll tell you, I was very disappointed with the fact that offensively, they really put the whole game on Jalen. I mean, they became a team that's throwing the ball every play. They really didn't get the running game going. Come on. The reason that they won those first two games, the playoff games, so dominantly is they ran the ball down the other team's throat. Now, they never got it going. Some of that, I got to say, is, the line. They did not dominate. They did not dominate, the Kansas City defensive line. They were getting penetration, making plays in the backfield, and, it got them away where I thought they really just got away from any type of a running game. And as I said, they put the whole game on Jalen Hurts' back. Now, if you'd have came and said, Jalen Hurts is going to throw for 300 yards, I say, you know what? I'm going to get ready for the parade, and I know what I'm going to wear to the parade. I got to think about what
Garry, he was spectacular outside of the fumble.
Yeah, that's right. Outside of the fumble. Now, that was a big play and everything. But he played well enough, I think, to make up for that. If you're just talking about his game, to make it a win. But they didn't get the running game going, man. No running game. Come on. You let Kansas City run the ball better than they did. Kansas City ran the ball better. And, I thought, of course, something that had been haunting them all year, we didn't know when it was going to get them. It wound up getting them in their last game. And that's the doggone special teams. Because if anything is true, the Eagles special teams are not special, okay? They did not get it done. And of all the time, because most of the time when they went out there, you just get off the field without giving up a touchdown or something, Just get the special teams off the field. And unfortunately, that run back was at the worst time, that they could do it. And that really, that was a crusher. But the big thing, though, is there are no excuses. They didn't get their running game going in the second half. Come on. They get the running game going. You got a 10-point lead. You're supposed to make Mahomes sit over there. But I had told you that you don't want to give him the ball with the game on the line. You don't want to do that. And ultimately, that's what they did. And it cost them. And it's something that's you hate to see. I got some of the guys talking about the field and everything. Look, I don't want to hear about the field. They played on the same field. I think that, you like to have, you don't want guys slipping. I don't know what they did. I mean, you got everybody slipping, but you play on the same field. That's the thing. So you cannot really, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they got guys that are supposed to be weapons, and they played on the same field. So you can't go into that. But I thought both offensive and defensive lines, major disappointments in these games.
Absolutely.
They did not dominate like they did in the previous games.
Too, Garry, I'm going to make a comparison to something, and maybe obviously the lights were brighter on Sunday, but to me, Quez Watkins has to make that catch. And I look at that like Alshon Jeffries in that New Orleans playoff game to get to the NFC title game when Foles threw him. Jalen didn't hit him in the hand. He hit him in both hands.
Yeah.
You've got to make that catch.
Well, I'll tell you about Quez Watkins. If you had told me, if the ball's in Quez Watkins' hands, do I think you're going to win? No. The guy, he said he didn't play up. Come on. Dude, you got to go see the odds. I mean, need to go. Don't pass, go directly and see the odds, because you got to get tougher than that, man. You got to get where you got more courage than that. And maybe what you're doing is you got stuff going on in your head. You see yourself doing bad stuff. Look, you got to get that out of your head, man. You got to be confident. You're playing on a team here. They ask you to do one or two things, and come on. You got to be more confident in that. But You know, he does not play with a lot of confidence, man.
Gary, he's got to make that catch. But let me throw this one at you too.
Yeah.
I thought what they did for adjustments in the second half that confused the Eagles secondary.
Yep.
They were running so many crossing routes that they were trying to pass receivers off.
Come on,
and
man.
The reason that they were so wide open, Gary, was because there was confusion. How many times did you look up in the second half
wide open,
wideouts wide open because they were passing guys off and they were in that soft zone? But when you have a play caller like Reed and a quarterback like Mahomes, this isn't David Mills or Kenny Pickett.
That's right.
This is somebody that's going to take advantage of you.
That's right. You know, you got to communicate. But the thing you do, you can get to where you start trying to do too much because guys can't always hear that. So if you got to just stay with your man, you fight through it and you stay with your man. Whatever you got to do, man. I mean, that was just terrible. You got guys just coming wide open. I'm going, what in the world? You know, that's embarrassing when you do that.
Absolutely
really embarrassing, man. You know, that's not getting it done.
Who do you think is going to be a bigger loss to the team? Or do you think any loss now that Jonathan Gannon has been named the head coach Arizona and Steichen has been named the head coach in Indianapolis? Do you think they'll elevate from within? Brian Johnson maybe to OC?
Yeah.
You know, there's a thought that Gannon might take him to Arizona with him as assistant head coach and offensive coordinator and a bump in pay. So, I mean, well, I got a feeling, Gary, that the coaching staff may have to also have an overhaul, just like the roster, because two assistants got head coaching jobs.
I understand. But what you got to do is you got to hang on to as many you got to pick up, you know, you're not going to hang on to everybody. You got to pick your defensive and offensive coordinator, and you got to say, what do I need to do to keep this guy? If that's who you really believe in, you give them the promotion, you give them whatever, and you give them the money, and you give them the title, and you keep, you know, and there probably maybe 3-4 guys. You got to say, I got to keep these guys. He got to identify those guys right away because you can't lose everybody. That's not something you want, but they probably want to promote these guys from within. But that's something I think they knew that was coming. There was a good chance of that happening, and once you had Gannon get the job, you kind of knew that's what was going to go down. But they got to hang on to the guys. You don't want to get totally just your staffs cleaned out. No, you don't. Don't want to do that. No.
Hey, Gary, do you agree? And I said this. I go, that defense was never who I thought they were all year because schematically, I never thought Gannon was very good. I think they covered a lot of shit with Howie, bringing good players in. And to me, it was more about the good players than the scheme that Gannon ran. And you're going into an offseason now. You got Slay making $18 million, and he's 32. C.J. Gardner's going to get $14 million. Bradbury's going to get about $14 million. These guys put up career years, and they're going to command a lot of money. To me, Gary, paying that kind of money for zone coverage corners, they're not man corner. Or how about this? I don't know if they're not man covers because the DC never played.
I know.
Really a lot of man. So what direction do you go?
Well, you know, the thing I tell you, I think they want to sit down and think about that, but you cannot pay these guys that kind of money if you're just going to sit them and sitting in a zone. No, you're right. You cannot do it because they're not worth it. If you're just playing all that zone and
Gary, look at what Kansas City did with 2 rookie corners on rookie contracts.
That's right.
They were out there saving money on the rookie contracts, and you want to pay $30 million for 2 corners to play zone? I don't see the advantage in that.
I think you got to go with some young kids. I don't think you're going to keep both of them. Bradbury's probably going to walk. I mean, you're not going to be able to keep him around. I think CJ, I've seen certain things in CJ. I think he's worth
me too.
Signing because the kid is so versatile. He's got the special ability as a safety, and then he can play corner for you if you need him. So you got to keep him. But Bradbury's probably going to get a better offer than they would be able to give him. I look at some of the other guys. With TJ, I definitely don't think White, you're going to keep him.
TJ's not going to sit around for $5 million and when he can get $7 million on the open market.
Yeah. These guys might go. What you got to do is you're going to need to draft well. You're gonna need to have to draft at least 2 players that can play. Those first round picks, you got to draft guys can come in here and start.
Jordan Davis has got to be a factor next year because if Cox, you're going to allow to walk out the building and you're going to sign Hargrave.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary, he played in the Super Bowl, and I don't remember him actually making a play in the Super Bowl.
No.
I would say this to you, that 13th pick, man, he's got to be better because I'm not going to use any words on the kid yet, but boy, I'll tell you what, man, I need to see more from that dude.
Well, definitely from what I saw of him in the Super Bowl, I mean, he looked like he was lost out there. I mean, he wasn't doing anything. And ultimately, because you didn't get anything from that line, who on the line did anything?
Nothing.
Which one of them you go, let me see who played. Let me think of the defensive line, somebody that made a play. You sit there and
that kid, Chris Jones, for the Chiefs was a force.
Yeah. I mean, they surely – I think both lines, I'd have to say, both of them got outplayed, man. And that's shocking for me to say that. I'm very surprised that I would say that. And I think ultimately that's what cost them the game because if they could have got a running game going in the second half, they would have won the game. But
let me throw this at you here.
And the defense couldn't stop them. Okay.
We'll get to your super chat here in a minute. Tone, remind me of Perry's super chat here. I said this, and I went in a back and forth, Gary, with Seth Joyner last night. On it's a priority on what you do with Jalen Hurts in the offseason now because everything falls in line now with this. Your roster falls in line, who you're going to pay, how you're going to pay them. Maybe even coordinators are going to be determined on what happens with Jalen here. I said this. If you think that you're going to pay him some 5-year, $50 million deal and have the same roster come back, you're out of your tree. So I said this, you've got to work. I don't mind putting 45 to 50 million annually, but I said this to Seth, to keep the roster intact.
Mm-hmm.
Make it fully guaranteed over 3 years. Give him 150 guaranteed over 3 years. Add additional years if he continues to play. He'll make more money like Warren Moon used to, Gary. Warren Moon used to have his contract renewed every single season because he was never the highest paid guy, but he would never be lower than the third. So he had his deal done every year. For Jalen to be Jalen, I think they've got to have a working relationship. I don't think you want to tie the roster up for 5 years because this may be as good as it ever gets, Gary. What do you do?
Well, this is the thing where I think it's a benefit in having, a guy like Jalen in that you can talk to him. And I think this kid wants to win. You see what Brady did all those years. I don't know, exactly what there's a way. And I would say this, that Howie's very good at this, which is I'm going to take care of you. But I need a way in which I need to be able to room and to negotiate with these other guys, and I need to be able to talk to you. And so what they do is I know he gives these guys money to ultimately where he comes back and he just, writes them a check for whatever so that they're able to open the door to somebody else signing, So Howie, I think, is going to do a great job. I think it's going to work out because Howie is very good at manipulating the cap, and I think Jalen is open to what is it going to take for us to win. What is going to take for us to have the best team?
So, Gary, would you do this if you're Clutch Sports and Hurts? Would you wait and see what Herbert, Burrow, and Lamar do? Or if the Eagles come to the table first, would you negotiate with the ball club? Because we'll get a sense of what Clutch wants to do. If the Eagles come to the table first and Clutch wants to wait, this is going to be about the money. Okay? But if Jalen directs and deals with the Eagles immediately, isn't that going to tell us where this is going?
Well, I think it definitely could. But you could have a conversation, but that doesn't mean you're getting anything done. I definitely think, he wants some security, because if you don't sign something, he would like to have some security and things, especially about the fact that, they have him run the ball as much as he does. So I think both of them have to sit in there and be creative, but I do have a lot of confidence that Howie will be able to work something out. And I think Jalen, ultimately more than anything else, he knows if he wins, he's going to get it all. And so I think that's a good thing going into it. But you got some of the different things that are playing into it, and some of the guys were talking in the fact that he's got a black woman who's representing him, and they're talking about how she wants to make sure she gets what all the other agents get and everything. And I'm saying, oh boy, because once you start talking there, where it's about her and not about Jalen, see, you could get. I mean, right away once they said that, oh boy.
So Clutch brought race into it.
No.
Or her sex.
I'm talking about media people.
Okay.
Talking about it, but talking about it on the air. It's going to be something on the air. He's got a black woman. She's his agent.
Yep.
And they made the point, and where this is not really so much about Jalen. It's about her making sure she gets what this white agent would get. And once you pull that in there, see,
wow.
Then you're putting a whole lot
I never thought of that dynamic.
Yeah. Well, and that dynamic, could play in it. And surely, the media is going to play that. So it's going to be interesting how it works out. But the thing that I have confidence in is Jalen is about winning. He's about winning. The kid is about winning. We saw that. Look at the way that kid stepped up. Now, he did make that play where he had that ball loose and had the fumble. Other than that, how could you have expected him to play at that level? And then they got him running in. Amazing performance.
Do you think, Gary, that he's going to go into these negotiations having already set the guardrails on what he wants and what his family wants? And if the agency Clutch that's the Maverick Carter guys and all them.
Yeah.
If those guys start putting guardrails in there, I could see Jalen, the kind of leader that he is, the organization wants to work with him.
Yeah.
I think if you tell your agent your guardrails, maybe that alleviates some of that, because look, you're going to get paid the most where your feet are. And to me, I mean, boy, the media, you're right. I got a feeling, Gary, the media are going to throw that in there. She's a black woman agent.
Yes.
Lee Steinberg got the money here, $500 million for Patrick Mahomes. Hey, how crazy is this, Gary? Yeah. That's already an under market value deal. He's going to make $45 million. The guy in Arizona got 46-1.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to, the only hope I have, like I said, I know Jalen and the fact that he wants to win, but you got some pressures involved in this.
Yeah.
And after the performance.
The union too, right, Gary?
What's that?
The union too.
Yeah, you're right. The union too. You're right. He's going to get a lot of pressure. I mean, after that performance, you're going to understand where folks can throw some serious numbers out. Because really, if I came into the game, I wanted to say this and I didn't. I would have thought, if I predicted this game, and this is what I predicted in this game, everything's the opposite. I would have thought Mahomes played the game, that Jalen played. Okay. And I would think that the Eagles' defensive line and offensive line played the way Kansas City played. Meaning that, the Eagles won the game, but Jalen didn't outplay Mahomes and everything, because clearly the throws that Jalen made, the plays, the way he played, you couldn't have asked him to play any better.
He was spectacular.
But, for the big guys not to show up like that, man, I was very disappointed in those guys. Very disappointed.
Finally here.
Yeah.
So if you're Howie, do you add another year or two to Nick Sirianni? They did for Doug.
I said this before. Hey,
they did for Doug.
I would have no problem. I think that they should. I think he earned it. He had a great year. What he did with this team, and And I like, well, the thing is, a lot of it, look at Jalen. You know, you got your quarterback. Nobody's debating that anymore. I mean, he's going by where anything I could have dreamed, you know, that where he's playing at. He plays at that level. They'll be back there again next year, even with guys missing. He plays at that level. I mean, that was amazing. But he shouldn't have to play at that level. They should have got more of a running game going. And I know Steichen and those guys, they got a great game out of him, but I thought they got away from him. They needed to get something established on the ground and ultimately hurt him because they had to give the ball back to Mahomes.
Fine. Hey, let me stick another one in. Do you think Jalen's going to have any input on who the OC is going to be?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Without a doubt, he's going to have. And
Did you see Sirianni taking over the play calling again?
Well, maybe he could have more input. But I think that I thought he got a feel and probably did a better job coaching the team overall because he did not have that on his back. But he could get his hand in there more. You know, he could definitely do that. And I imagine he had his hand in it to believe it. He's right there on the mic. He hears what's going in. I'm sure he's had a say on, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. So I definitely think that he's going to have a say about it. And I could see where Jalen, he's probably going to want his guy. I mean, why wouldn't he?
I promised you that this would be the last. This is the last question here. I recommended this. So if they're looking for a new coordinator, would you ever consider bringing Eric Bieniemy in? And I mean this. He's an Andy Reid guy. They hired an Andy Reid guy and Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
He's got to get out from the shadow. Obviously, these other guys are passing him by.
Yeah,
he's never going to get out of the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes shadow. Yeah. And the one thing you want to continue to do is grow Jalen's passing game.
Hey,
why not have a guy who was there for all this great success in Kansas City and bring him into Philadelphia to run his own show?
You know what? I definitely could see. I think that would be a good idea. I mean, a very cutting edge idea, something that I definitely could get behind that because, you know, he's going to bring in some things where he's going to add things to that offense, things they already have. He's going to add more to the offense. And I could see them doing that. I because, you know, I don't want them to get to the point where they're relying too much on Jalen carrying that ball because you don't want him getting hurt. You want to keep him upright and you want to gradually
take those carries away. He had 15 carries. You want that number down around 6, not 15. Right. So maybe Bieniemy, you'd probably have to, because you can't make lateral moves. You'd have to give him more money, assistant head coach. You add to the title.
That's right.
But, I mean, Gary, that to me is the evolution of what you're looking for in a player. Is not to have him be more of a runner. You want to make him more of a pocket guy.
That's right. You want to make him more of a pocket guy. And the thing is, he's growing in that area. So you just keep it going that way. And with Bieniemy, you would be doing that. So I could see the dude. I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's gonna hire from within. But I could tell you that would be a very that would be a cutting edge move. And you would be increasing because you're bringing all the Andy stuff in here. You know,
absolutely.
You're expanding the offense, really.
And what you're doing is, you know, you're staying kind of in the family because he's an Andy guy and they like Andy guys. And just saying there, I think it's going to be I'll tell you what, man, it's going to be one of the most interesting off seasons in the history of the Eagles.
Yes, it is.
And I can't wait to see it. Gary, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
You got it. The great Garry Cobb from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. He was out at the Super Bowl too. Great time for all. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We got so much to hit on. Let me see here. Top free agents to target. My top quarterback post Super Bowl. Also, my first mock draft NFL. This is all going to be coming up, especially in hour number 3. Please hit the like.